The school hallway was packed with students, and you could barely see where you were going. Your arms were full, carrying a huge stack of books that blocked your view completely. You stumbled through the crowd, muttering quick apologies every time you accidentally bumped into someone. "Excuse me," you said as a group of girls rolled their eyes and make a way for you to walk. "Thank you so much." "This was such a bad idea," you whispered, struggling to keep the books balanced, but the thought of making 2 trips to the library sounded even worse. "It's okay, Vine, just a few more steps." You motivated yourself, but then it happened. Your foot caught on something, maybe a bag, maybe a loose tile. You couldn't tell. The next thing you knew, the book slipped from your hands and you were falling forward. Instead of crashing onto the cold, hard floor, you landed on something warm and solid. A hushed silence spread across the hallway. You opened your eyes, blinking in confusion, and froze. John Jungkook. You were on top of him, and your lips were pressed against his. Time stopped. His wide eyes stared back at yours, and for a moment neither of you moved. The realization of what just happened made your heart race and your face burn with embarrassment. Gasps and whispers broke the silence. "Oh my god, did she just... She's dead. She kissed Jungkook." You scrambled off him, your legs shaking as you tried to gather the scattered books. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. It was an accident." Your voice trembled, panic creeping in as you avoided his gaze. Girls covered their mouth as they were sure what will happen to you. Now Jungkook stood slowly brushing off his jacket, his jaw clenched and his dark eyes bored into you. The way he looked at you, calm but with an edge of danger, made your stomach twist. John Jungkook was the mystery that everyone wanted to solve but no one dared to approach. He wasn't just the school's bad boy. He was an enigma wrapped in danger with an air of authority that made everyone think twice before crossing him. Tall, brooding, and effortlessly charismatic, he could silence an entire room with just a glance. Jungkook had made one thing abundantly clear since the first day he stepped into the school: no girls were to come near him. It wasn't an official rule, but the message spread quickly. Any girl who tried to flirt with him or even casually approach him found themselves on the receiving end of his icy stare and curt words. "Stay out of my way," he would say, his voice low and cold. Rumors swirled, each one wilder than the last. Some said he hated girls altogether, a sentiment born from a deep-rooted grudge no one could explain. Others whispered that he was in a secret relationship, so loyal to his mysterious girlfriend that he wouldn't even look at other girls. Some even speculated he had been hurt before, maybe a heartbreak so severe it turned him into the cold and untouchable person. You gulped and took a step back when he looked at you. Did you not see where you were walking? Or were you planning to throw yourself at someone like that? Your eyes widened even further and you shook your head frantically. Everyone's eyes were on both of you. "No, it wasn't like that. I was carrying books and I tripped." "Books?" he repeated flatly, his dark eyes flickering to the scattered pile on the floor before returning to your face. "You couldn't even carry them properly, and now this." You swallowed hard, your hands trembling as you tried to gather the fallen books. "I didn't mean to. It was an accident." "An accident?" He cut you off, stepping closer. His tone was calm, but there was an edge to it that made your stomach churn. "Do you have any idea who you just accidentally kissed?" You froze, your mouth opening and closing as you searched for words. The weight of his gaze made it impossible to speak. He stared at you for a moment longer, his expression unreadable. "I'm so sorry, this won't happen again." He scoffed before looking at you again and leaned forward a little before speaking in a low voice. "I'm the one who'll decide what will happen again." "Don't think this is over," he murmured, his voice sending a shiver down your spine. With that, he straightened, shot one last glance at you and finally walked away, leaving you standing there, speechless and terrified. The hallway exploded with whispers as soon as he disappeared. "She's in so much trouble. No one messes with Jungkook like that. Poor girl doesn't stand a chance." You gulped, your hands still trembling as you clutched the books. Jungkook's words replayed in your mind, making your stomach churn. You knew one thing for sure, he wasn't going to let this slide. You spent the rest of the day avoiding eye contact with anyone and praying you could somehow disappear. Whispers followed you wherever you went, and it didn't help that everyone acted as if you had just signed your own death warrant. John Jungkook wasn't just the school's bad boy, he was an enigma. People admired him from afar, feared his sharp tongue, and speculated endlessly about his life. But one thing was clear, Jungkook had made it known that he didn't want girls fawning over him. Now you had broken that unspoken rule and you were certain he was plotting your doom. By lunch, your nerves were shot. You decided the safest plan was to avoid him altogether. So instead of heading to the bustling cafeteria, you slipped into the library. You ducked behind a tall bookshelf, clutching your bag like it was a shield. Just stay quiet, he won't find me here. But your luck was terrible today. Trying to hide, huh? Your heart stopped at the familiar smooth voice. Slowly you turn your head only to find Jungkook standing at the end of the aisle, arms crossed and an infuriating smirk on his lips. You froze, clutching your bag tighter. I wasn't hiding. You stammered, your voice barely above a whisper. Really? He asked, stepping closer, because it looks like you are doing a pretty bad job of it. Your eyes darted around looking for an escape route, but he was already blocking the only way out. Relax, he said, leaning casually against the bookshelf. I'm not going to bite yet. Your face burned and you quickly looked down at your shoes. I already said I'm sorry about earlier. It was an accident, I swear. Jungkook tilted his head, pretending to think. An accident, huh? Falling on me? Kissing me in front of everyone. His lips curved into a teasing grin. You sure you're not secretly obsessed with me? Your head shot up and you looked at him. What? No, that's not it at all. He chuckled softly, clearly enjoying your reaction. Relax, I'm joking, mostly. You groaned, covering your face with your hands. Can't we just forget this ever happened? Forget? You think anyone's going to forget that anytime soon? You sighed in defeat, feeling like your life was officially over, but then his teasing tone softened slightly. Look, I'm not mad. It was just unexpected. You peeked at him through your fingers. Wait, you're not mad? He shrugged. Not really, but his smirk returned and his eyes gleamed mischievously. You do owe me. Your stomach dropped. Owe you? Yeah, he said, straightening up. Let's call it payback for the embarrassment. What kind of payback? He tapped his chin, pretending to think. Haven't decided yet, but don't worry, I'll come up with something good. Before you could protest, he turned and started walking away. See you around, clumsy. You stood there staring after him, your heart pounding in confusion. What did he mean by payback? And why did his teasing smirk make my cheeks heat up all over again? You sighed because one thing was certain, your life had just gotten a lot more complicated. The next few days were torture. Everywhere you went, people whispered and stared, their curiosity only making your embarrassment worse. You did everything you could to avoid Jungkook, keeping your head down and ducking into random classrooms whenever you spotted him in the hallways. But it was like he had some kind of radar. Every time you thought you were in the clear, he would show up, leaning casual against a locker, catching your eye in the cafeteria, or brushing past you in the hallway with a knowing smirk. It was driving you crazy. You were sitting in the courtyard during lunch, trying to ignore the stares from your classmates when you saw him, Jungkook. He was walking towards you. You quickly hid your face, ignoring him. Oh no, why is he coming here? Okay, go away. Oh God, am I in trouble? Is he going to beat me up? The entire courtyard fell silent when they noticed. No one could believe it. Jungkook, Mr. Untouchable, the boy who never paid attention to girls, the one who had made it clear to everyone that he was allergic to them, was walking straight towards you. You looked around, feeling the weight of every pair of eyes on you. What in the world was happening? Hey, Miss Clumsy, Jungkook said as he reached your table, his voice cool but somehow a little softer than usual. You blinked, caught completely off guard. Hey. There was an awkward pause. The courtyard was still silent, all eyes strained on the two of you. Jungkook didn't seem to care. In fact, he even sat down across from you like it was the most normal thing in the world. What's wrong? You look like you have seen a ghost. You looked at him and then at everyone who was looking at both of you. I didn't, but seems like they all have. He smiled, not looking at anyone except you. Let them see, just look at me like how I'm looking at you. Your breath hitched. Is this a joke? One of your classmates whispered to another. Is he really talking to her? Doesn't he hate girls? What's going on? You could feel the heat rise to your cheeks as you tried to ignore the stares. Jungkook, what are you doing? He leaned back in his chair, an unreadable expression on his face. Nothing, just talking. His tone was light, but there was a glint of something mischievous in his eyes. Are you trying to play some game with me to take your revenge? Revenge for what? He asked innocently. You sighed. For kissing you that day. I swear it was by mistake, and if you want to take revenge, then I'm so sorry. Why do you think I'm planning a revenge on you? Did I do anything yet? You looked at him. No one's ever seen you talking to a girl before. He chuckled. Guess I'm breaking the rules. He looked at him surprised. What does that mean? Jungkook leaned in slightly, his eyes sparkled with mischief as he tilted his head towards you. Well, just like how you claim to have kissed me accidentally, I have accidentally fallen for you. Your heart skipped a beat at his words and you blinked, still trying to make sense of what he just said. Fallen for me? But you hate girls, don't you? Aren't you allergic to them? Allergic to girls? Why would I be? His laugh was light, playful, and it sent a joy through you. His teasing tone softened, making you feel more exposed than you had ever felt before. You couldn't understand why, after all this time, Jungkook was suddenly acting so different. You raised an eyebrow, trying to mask the confusion and the growing feeling you couldn't ignore. Then why did you never let anyone come near you? Why did you always push everyone away? Jungkook smirked, leaning back at his seat as he considered your question. There was a quiet intensity in his eyes now, his previous teasing demeanor fading just enough for you to see a glimpse of something else, something raw and sincere. Because I hate unnecessary attention. People expect things from you, and most of the time it's all fake. But you, he paused, looking you directly in the eyes. His eyes softened. You landed right on top of me that day. You just did this magic. You made everything shift. I can't stop thinking about you. Your smile, the way you blush. It it's all been on my mind ever since. I've tried to shake it off, but he let out a quiet sigh like he was finally admitting something he had been keeping buried for so long. Your heart pounded in your chest, and you could feel your cheeks turning a shade of red that had nothing to do with the embarrassment you usually felt when he teased you. I didn't mean to make anything happen that day. Jungkook chuckled, his eyes twinkling with that playful glint that you were starting to understand was just the surface of something deeper. I don't think it was just an accident, Ryan. Something about you, it's like I can't look away. You make it impossible not to notice you. You felt a fluttering sensation in your chest, your mind still trying to process the fact that the guy who had always kept to himself, who never let anyone in, was now telling you that you were the one who had done this to him. Jungkook's smirk softened into a smile that felt genuine. Honestly, I thought I could ignore it, but every time I see you, my mind goes crazy. So yeah, I guess you could say I've got feelings for you. You blinked, still processing his words, your heart racing. This was Jungkook who had never cared about anyone like this before, and now he was standing here telling you all of this. Your emotions were a whirlwind, and you weren't sure whether to laugh, cry, or run away from the sudden intensity of it all. So, this is your way of admitting you like me, huh? Jungkook grinned, that same mischievous smirk crossing his face as he leaned in a little closer. Yeah, pretty much. But it's not just that. It's more than just liking you. You're different. And now I can't stop thinking about it, about you. I don't know how it happened, but here we are. You felt like your heart might burst out of your chest, the words finally sinking in. Jungkook, the guy who had always been distant, the one who had always kept everyone at arm's length, was admitting that he wanted something with you, something real. You swallowed, unsure of what to say next. You were a mess of emotions, caught between disbelief and a strange warmth spreading through your chest. Jungkook, this is crazy. Jungkook laughed softly, his voice dropping to a quieter, more sincere tone. I know, it doesn't make sense, right? But for once, I'm willing to take the risk. I want to see where this goes with you. You hesitated, your mind racing as your heart fought to catch up. Could you really let yourself fall for him? Was he something you could trust? But when you looked into his eyes, his genuine, unguarded eyes, something told you this was real. Maybe it was crazy, but maybe it was worth it. You smile softly, your heart finally catching up with your thoughts. Alright, Jungkook, let's see where this goes. Jungkook's face lit up with a smile, a real, unforced smile that made your stomach do flips. He leaned in just a bit more, his lips brushing your cheeks as he whispered, I know you would come around. And in that moment, you realized that this wasn't a game and this wasn't an accident. It was something more, something that neither of you could have predicted, but whatever it was, you were ready to find out together. Jungkook had finally let someone in, you, and there was no turning back now.